You. Wow. I guess you've been all day sitting in front of a lot of very good data points and data sets and data presentations. So I thought I'll come in and give a little bit of a break to talk about all of you. And I'd like to start by asking all of you to give a huge round of applause for yourselves, because functionally, you are the future. I think the point when I wanted to come in and speak and say, what can I tell people who are possibly building the next gen of the world, it is very tough to put it together. So what I've tried to put together is just to tell you what's happening in the talent landscape. There are two types of people in this room. There are people who are going to be hiring, and there are going to be people who are looking for jobs. And I'm trying to put together what I think is going to be India's next decade. Not decade, but decade. So I hope you're with me in this. So all of you know these data world. I've highlighted a few areas in green. We continue to be the hub for the world. We continue to give close to 2 million engineers every year coming out that can be hired. We are, of course, without doubt, one of the largest tech workforces. This number of 5.4 million, all of you, are going to double in the next few years. We're looking at least 10 million. So if you keep what is written in the papers in the last 4 weeks or 5 weeks out of sight, let's remove the gloom and doom that's coming across in some recessionary fears, etc. You cannot take away the fact that this workforce that's sitting right in front of me is going to be 10 million. And that's all of you and the teams that all of you are building. Of course, last but not the least, I think the GCC framework, we are expecting this number to touch close to around 2,400 numbers. So you will have close to 2,500 GCCs, if not more, in the next set of years. Now that means a lot of things. One, we are obviously going away from just being a talent hub, but to become a transformation hub. How are we doing that? Where is this talent going to come from? Over the last 2 years, ever since the surge of hiring happened, one of the key questions that's always been asked to me saying that, Vijay, is there life beyond metros? And you would be surprised that there's so much happening in the tier 2 cities. We all know what's happening in Bangalore. We all know what's happening in Hyderabad. We all know what's happening in West Bengal. But look at the tier 2 cities that's pumping up. We have today a lot of our organizations today setting up centers of excellences, very small ones, 200, 500, 2,000 people, very small centers in very nice cities like Jaipur, Coimbatore, Kochi, and so many more. India is in that journey today of moving aspirational villages. Aspirational villages in the name of the government means basically where they live below poverty line, in getting into a semi-rural area. But today, farm people are moving to non-farm jobs, rural jobs are moving to urban jobs, but tech guys and engineering guys are moving to tier 2 cities as well. So it's a great momentum. I think it's going to help a lot of people find roles near their hometown as well. One point that I want to mention over here is the way the titles have changed in roles now. 20 years ago when we started hiring, we used to have very nomenclature roles. It became software engineers. From software engineers, in 2020, you started seeing the word engineer getting dropped. You would see a role coming up as developer. It became software developer. Now what do we hear? Full stack developer. What has changed from being an engineer to now a skill-based and a role-based title? And that's prima facie. And so those in the room today, that's your focus area, your skill and your functional role in the organization. Titles have become irrelevant anymore. It's about how you upskill yourself, be ready, and how you get the right role in the right organization. Of course, like I mentioned, over close to 1,700 GCCs that I've already set up, going to touch close to around 2,500 plus GCCs with multiple units. So 2,700 GCCs have already had multiple cities as such. At a fantastic growth rate, close to 2 million workforce sitting out of GCCs today. Remember, GCCs are not just about having the right tech talent and the engineering talent. It's about the ancillary partners that you develop. So what all of you are sitting here today is not just developing a code or developing a data set or developing intelligence, but you're also developing an ecosystem. So great work, and we need to continue that, and we will continue to grow in that portion. This is one slide that I'm going to spend time. This is possibly where all of you are going to have a lot of challenges. This is where transformation is truly happening in the talent landscape. I've broken those into 3 parts: the worker, the work, and the workplace. I'll start with the easy one, which is the workplace. I think all of us know we are in, I always keep joking around, you have a hybrid workforce in office that come 3 days a week, But in all 5 days in Bangalore, the pubs are busy. So I'm not too sure how hybrid the pubs are able to get them there, but we are unable to get most of the employees to the office, right? So we are smart facilities and stuff. Now I'll go back to the worker, which I think is possibly the most interesting for Quess Corp. I don't know how many of you know, we employ close to around 5 lakh employees in India. 5,15,000 is the number of employees that Quess Corp announces. How do we do that? As you guys grow, we grow. Now as we do this, we are seeing a very, very interesting moment that is happening in the human pyramid. You had the full-time worker. Over the last decade, you saw the introduction of a contract worker. Now you have the introduction of a gig worker. And to add it all, you have it all on hybrid. So today, the work pyramid is changing. As employers, as employees, if you do not change your mindset as to what you can hire for, if you're going to hold on and say, no, I want only full-time workers, you have to wait for 90 days when the employees start shopping around. You want a contract worker, you can get him in 30 days. You want a gig worker, you can put outcome onto the person. You get service providers. So the work structure is changing, and I'm very, very confident that people in this room realize this more than ever. We have to ensure what is going to drive this team in the future. Of course, without doubt, we continue to be a great hub of emerging talent. Gone are the days when we are on cost. Today, it's all about transformation. Sometimes I do get worried about what people define as transformation. It's like artificial intelligence. It's been around for a while, but how do you define it becomes very important. How do we move towards creating an ecosystem, like I mentioned, ensuring that you work with academia, you work with governments. It's becoming extremely important to know how you can skill. And if your organizations or your ecosystems are not enabling new people to come into the workforce, I would urge you to go back, build that ecosystem, because when you need that 10 million workforce to come in, they better be the right talent and the right quality. And last but not the least, of course, gone from cost efficiency to transformation. And the last point is something which I thoroughly enjoy. You know, many people, you would say that, you would want to have a very inclusive environment. Bangalore is becoming a huge hub for expats. I don't know if you have noticed. If you're in an airport today, a good 10% of people traveling are expats. And that's become a great win because there's a lot more acceptance of people coming to stay here and work here, which allows us, all of us, to grow in our careers and go abroad as well. This is some data that we had pulled out from the Quess data set. The jobs, the way that it's niche, that's vanilla, where it stands, how it's moving. You see data analytics is right up there. So this is a very tricky slide, If you see data analytics, it's niche and it's in high volume. So you guys can extra 5-10% on your appraisal next year if you're in that space. So this is a report that comes out from Quess every quarter. It's something that we track as to how skills move. It's a very interesting time to be in the space that you all are in, especially in AI as such. Last slide. We continue to see a lot of geopolitical hurdles. There is a lot of macro environment pressures that continue to come. I think in the last case we mentioned about inclusivity. We do have a falling labor workforce. It's very unique to India. I think we need to participate, have more inclusion in the way we hire, the way we engage, and the way we build talent. Of course, we have to move from low productivity jobs to high. This is an amazing story about how India is moving from an informal labor workforce to a formal labor workforce. Today, some of the security guards that are there outside your societies are getting a PF. Why? Because now they're a formal labor workforce. They contribute to the economy by spending, and when they spend, they pay GST or pay income tax, and as they do that, the economy moves up. So this is the right times to focus on that. And last but not the least, make sure that as in your own way, try to contribute to the people around you, the ecosystem around you. The more labor workforce gets skilled, the more benefits that we get as a community, as a company, and more importantly to ourselves. Thank you very much.